Hey everybody. I just wanted to stop by and remind you that God really cares about you. He cares about your health. He cares about your relationships. He cares about your well-being. And I just wanted to remind you that He cares about your finances as well. You know, with the lockdown, with the pandemic, most people's finances are in a very precarious situation. And I wanted to remind us that there are laws and there are principles in place that don't require prayer, don't require fasting. Just as long as you align with those, God's principles will hold true. And I'll remind you of two today. The one that says, give and it'll be given back to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured onto your bosom that you cannot even contain. And the other one is actually in Genesis chapter 8, I think it's verse 22, and it says, but as I say, wait, let me read so I don't misunderstand. Okay, it says, as long as earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. And I just want to remind you that if you have day and you have night, if the days keep on ticking, if the seasons keep on ticking, if cold doesn't become heat and heat doesn't become cold, then it means that the rest of the principles hold true, that seed time and harvest. And I just want to say today that if your finances are a little bit tricky, if they seem to be a little bit challenging, if they are in a precarious state, remember that God says, if you sow, then you will reap. And if you're experiencing a nudge from God and He's saying, give something, and you're like, what in the world? How is this going to work? If I give my last 1,000 Rand, if I give my last 500 Rand, how am I going to survive? But I was reminded this morning of a testimony that a friend of mine gave. And she was saying how it was a couple of years ago and she had a last 10 Rand. She was at church and she just really sensed that God was saying she must give that 10 Rand as a thanksgiving. And in the following day, somebody had deposited money for her, like 1,000 Rand or something. Now, giving is not the lotto. We don't give and hope that something comes back. No, it is a principle that has been steadfast since the foundations of the earth. And so if you're struggling with your finances today, I just want to challenge you to give. And you can never outgive God. So give and see what God does for you. And personally, I believe that God wants to bless us, but He wants to bless us within the realms of his principles that He has set up. And so if God wants to pour out a blessing on you that you cannot contain, then He would want you to align with His principles that say give. So when God nudges you to give, to sow, to sacrifice, to give to somebody, whether it's in a church context or it's not in a church context, if you are sowing as per God's principles, then you will reap as per God's principles. Be encouraged today. Take a step of faith and give. All right. God bless.